It's all quiet here now, but for 3 days in August, these humble grounds will be transformed into one of the premier folk festivals in North America. So sit back and relax and take in everything that is summer folk.
There's whiskey in the jar.
When we was a weekend, between 6 and 7, the guns were all around and in numbers uneven. I went to draw me pistol, but alas, I wasn't taken. For what it takes me pistol as a prisoner I was taken.
Mush-a-ring-a-la-doo-la-da, whack-ball-a-daddy-o, whack-ball-a-daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar.
As the anticipation mounts, performers, organizers, and spectators ready themselves for that one magical moment which signals the start of this 3-day extravaganza.
I started on the playing for the Summer Folk on the second time that they had it. I was asked by Tim Harrison to play for the opening and for the closing of Summer Folk, and I never realized that I would have been involved with Summer Folk this length of time. At that time, there was a lot of people actually frowned on folk festivals, and the consensus was it was just a passing thing, and in time it would die out. But such has not happened, really, because actually the summer folk has become quite an integral part of our society.
Each year, like a sleeping giant awakening, the Kelso Beach area of Owen Sound comes alive to the sounds of summer folk. In charge of preparation for such a massive wake-up call is Summer Folk's artistic director, Neil Glenn.
I've worked in one capacity or another for probably 13 of the 15 festivals, and I have been artistic director for the last 4. The booking actually didn't really get started until late December, early January, February, but the jurying of the performance tapes done all in December. Groundwork laid in a couple of months before that. So we're talking a nice winter project. We're running main stage shows for 3 evenings and for a total of 35 night concerts. 12 on Friday, 12 on Saturday, and 11 on Sunday, and then a finale, which is basically another concert slot. I just listen to everything that comes in, and if it strikes me right off the bat, I set that aside, go through it again a little later on. If it's not quite up to what I think we would like to present this year, I also set it aside, make sure it gets another glean through first before it gets rejected.
All things come to those who wait, they say, that's fine for them, and that's okay, but how long, I say, until every dog has its day out.
The folk festivals here in Ontario was begun at a series of meetings. I think it was back in 1984. The Georgian Bay Folk Society was at those meetings along with Mariposa representatives, I believe some representatives from Sudbury at the same time. They felt that they all had common concerns, they had problems that needed solving and could help one another with it. And those meetings, over the course of the next few years, blossomed into the organization we have now, the Ontario Council of Folk Festivals. At this point in time, we have 9 member festivals throughout the province, and we're in a situation where from the end of June till pretty much the middle of September, there's a folk festival somewhere in Ontario almost every weekend. The most important aspect of folk festivals, and frankly what defines a folk festival as opposed to any other music festival or event of any kind, is the workshop. The workshop is the one time where musicians who may never have met, who may not have a lot in common in terms of the styles of music they play, will get together on one stage and they'll have a topic or some technical area that they'll get together and just share ideas amongst themselves and with the audience. the communication that goes on between the musicians and the dialogue that goes on between the audience and the musicians is the most important aspect of folk festivals.
Besides great music, Summerfolk offers an assortment of craft booths.
Well, I think it's a really major part of the festival. I mean, it's a summer folk and craft festival. It's not just music, it's crafts as well, and I think it's a really important part. And in fact, we actually have people that are coming specifically for some of the things that we're doing in the arts and crafts this year. This year we're going to have 24 different people presenting their work in their booths, and it's a real range of things. We're really lucky because last year we got the support of the Ontario Arts Council to have a jury show, and we've been able to repeat that again this year. So all of the artisans are able to enter a piece of their work for the jury show, and there are prizes for that. In addition, we have, through that funding, been able to have people come in to demonstrate their work. And this year we've got a number of different kinds of demonstrations happening. One is on Sunday afternoon. We have 3 people doing or making musical instruments. On Saturday we have Sue Allison, a local watercolor artist, coming to demonstrate her work. The last demonstration actually is a sheep to shawl contest, and that's quite new. We're going to be bringing 3 sheep onto the site in our corral on Saturday, and they're going to be shorn at 11 o'clock. We're going to have 3 teams of 5 people each that will be carding that wool, spinning the wool, and then finally weaving shawls for the completed contest.
From stained glass artwork to the craftsmanship of an Irish harp maker.
It took me about three months to learn the style. It's an 8th century BC style that's European, Celtic in origin, and it was quite predominant over much of Europe at the time. But I had to adopt the style to realism, to some realism, so that it looked, you know, the animals looked somewhat like they should.
A retreat in the States where a lot of people were playing music after a meal just for a hobby, and I went into a folk music store to see if I could pick up an instrument to noodle along on, and I saw a whole lineup of different models of Celtic harps. Of course, I didn't know they were harps then, and I fell completely in love, and I had to have one. They were a little bit more expensive than I had planned on spending. So I spent all my traveler's checks and had to go home from my vacation, and there I am at home with this thing that I'm in love with called a harp and no clue how to play with. It was a hard job to learn how to play the harp at first because I didn't have any guidance. But then I found a marvelous book by Sylvia Woods, a California harpist, called Teach Yourself How to Play the Folk Harp. And I worked through that book with a teacher of classical harp in Toronto, Susanna Remini, through the Conservatoire of Music. And then it was just a joy.
I've since gone from Celtic music to doing a lot of different styles of music. I play in a group called Tight Little Island, and we do everything from some Celtic right through to some rhythm and blues, and a lot of original material that involves 2 guitars and a harp. Well, I don't actually play the rhythm and blues on the harp. The harp actually is a very, at least I find it to be a very good instrument for doing different kinds of an accompaniment. And quite often I use it as a bass. You can use the bottom strings as the bass sound. It's got a lot of really good sound in the bass part, so it quite often works that way. Or with the stuff that we're doing, we have 2 acoustic guitars and the harp and our vocals. So it's more of it's not the lead instrument in our group, it's more of an instrument that we're all forming using we do a lot of grooves, that kind of thing that you can do with the guitars and the harp. I really think that there is a renewed interest. I think people were for a while being not assaulted, but they were constantly being made aware of the electronic synthesizer for, especially in the 80s. And I think people were kind of getting tired of going to some place and hearing harp sounds from a keyboard. And I think that they're really interested in getting back to having, to seeing the visual, instrument and to getting the pure sound out of it.
Ranges very widely from Celtic bass tunes to our own original tunes. We take a lot of pleasure in taking a traditional Celtic tune and making our own arrangement of it, which is often quite unusual, quite unlike the very traditional arrangements would be. Consequently, some purists really dislike what we do, and some people just love what we do. We love what we do.
This special blend between craftspeople and musicians that makes Summerfolk a well-rounded festival. In many ways, the craftspeople have a common bond with the musicians, and that is the satisfaction of creating something and then sharing it with the public. One thing is bound to happen after a day of walking the grounds at Summerfolk, and that's to have worked up an appetite. With an abundance of top-quality food available, no palate will be disappointed. Satisfy your cravings with the latest in trendy cuisine, or just settle down with burgers that are second to none. Either way, no one goes away from Summerfolk hungry.
Over the past few years, folk festivals have been growing. Not only are there more festivals, but those that have been around for a little while have been undertaking new developments. In the past, we've centered pretty much on the musical aspects of a festival, which is not bad. After all, I'm a musician. I don't mind at all. But what we've come to understand more and more is that it's the total experience of a festival. Not just the music, not just the crafts, not the license area, not the children's area, not the dance if that's what you have, but the total world of a folk festival.
Bob McWhirter, Allison Amer, Debbie Haswell, names that won't appear in any program or advertisement, yet without them, Summerfolk would not be a reality. These are just a few of the hundreds of volunteers who breathe life into this annual event. As one performer puts it, the volunteers generate an energy that is in perfect harmony with the atmosphere of friendship which exists at Summerfolk.
My family was with Summerfolk right from the very beginning. The very first year, I was one of 4 people working in the lockup trailer. From the second year through to the 5th year, I ran the lockup trailer and slowly recruited various members of my family, to the point that most of the Galler family now works in the lockup trailer, and various members of the family have taken over where I left off.
Working long hours for no pay. Why do they do it?
Because I love it here. The people are great.
The people, it's a fun place.
Enjoy the music.
The children's area at Summerfolk is a place that needs to be experienced.
Children's programming is an integral part of any festival, and we put special emphasis on it at the Owen Sound Summerfolk Festival. We have a great crew of people who have all kinds of things for the kids to do throughout the day. Sometimes these kids are coming and it's the very first live performance they've ever seen.
Well, a sandwich can be egg or ham or even peanut butter. But they all taste so good to me, it really doesn't matter. Jam or ham or cucumber, any kind will do. I like sandwiches, how about you? Sandwiches are beautiful, sandwiches are fine. I like sandwiches, I eat them all the time. I eat them for my supper and I eat them for my lunch. If I had 100 sandwiches, I'd eat them all at once. If I had 100 sandwiches, I'd eat them all at once. If I had 100 sandwiches, I'd eat them all at once. That's the end.
It provides an opportunity for both children and parents to share in the enjoyment of some solid family entertainment. For many kids, this is their first exposure to a live performance, and from their reaction, it's assured this won't be their last.
Incredible what children are like when they're with their parents, and their parents are caring, and their parents are there sitting with them and loving them, as I'm sure most parents should, and most parents I know do. Children are the most honest audience in the world. If you're having a bad day, children will see that and they will respond to that. So it's best to perform for children with sheer honesty, and most of all is to have fun. You know what I mean?
At a time when so many conventional toys suppress a child's appetite for self-expression, the children's craft area provides activities for the kids, which allows them the chance to make something with their own hands.
The first time this year we've developed a t-shirt painting booth where a child can come and purchase a t-shirt and paint it themselves on the site and take it home with them.
Boom made it great to be crazy. Boom, boom made it great to be crazy. Giddy and foolish all day long. Boom, boom made it great to be crazy.
Not only is the child's imagination challenged, but on completion, they're rewarded with a sense of being part of the creative atmosphere that abounds at Summerfolk. Like many of its sister folk festivals, Summerfolk began with limited expectations.
Folk Society was formed in 1977 after the second Summerfolk Festival,
and a group of volunteers, 24 in number, got together to pledge some security and finance the following festival. And these people were all people from Owen Sound and area who liked folk music. A couple were performers, and the rest were people who'd worked on the festival. Well, there were 2 or 3 things that had to be worked on pretty hard. We wanted to be accepted in the community. We wanted to increase the numbers of people coming to the festival, so there was a big job to do in marketing and sales. And we also wanted to make the presentation of the festival as smooth as possible, because a smooth presentation makes it a lot more comfortable for the people who are coming.
Since those early years, Summerfolk has grown up from its humble beginnings to its present status as one of the premier folk festivals in North America.
Owen Sound has a special place in a lot of people's hearts. For me personally, it was the first folk festival I ever saw. For artists across the country and into the States, frankly all throughout North America, Owen Sound is well respected artistically. If you've played Owen Sound, you must be a real musician.
Chicken on a rock, chicken on a rock, sitting there picking out a chicken on a rock, chicken on a rock, chicken on a rock, stuck in the middle like a chicken on a rock, chicken on a rock, chicken on a rock, we're lost at sea like a chicken on a rock. We kissed goodnight in the midnight ball. She didn't cry, she didn't cry. Am I the man that she loves? Or am I just a cuckoo in another man's nest? Oh, yo, chicken on a rock on a Monday morning. Oh, what a terrible sight to see. That goes for an and down. Sitting there picking at a chicken on a rock. Oh, yo, chicken on a rock. Hey, yo, chicken on a rock. Hey, yo, chicken on a rock. Hey, yo, chicken on a rock.
Throughout its growth, Summerfolk has been able to retain that feeling of intimacy that was present in its infancy.
I think that most of the growth in our audience comes from word of mouth. A lot of people come to Summerfolk, they go home, they say to their friends, I had a great time there, you really should see this festival. And certainly our surveys have indicated to us over the years that a number of people have come because they've heard it's a great festival. Additionally, we've had really strong support from media contacts. We've had good coverage in the press and on the local radio and TV stations. And we do have a promotions committee which is looking at advertising in different venues, advertising in newspapers and on radio stations throughout Ontario. Performers will often comment that if they're going to choose a festival to go to, Summerfolk's the one to come to. And some of the reasons that they give for that involve the opportunity that we've become known for giving to younger performers to maybe get a start. For instance, Trout Fishing in America was one group that I think really benefited from their performances here at Summerfolk. Additionally, some of the younger people enjoy the opportunity to meet some of their own favorite performers and work with them in our workshops. It gives them an opportunity, too, to participate in a festival that they've come to know for its intimate atmosphere and its friendly, laid-back tone.
As the attendance figures continue to grow, the intimacy and charm associated with the festival remains constant.
The festivals that I've been to in many other places that are much larger than Summerfolk do lose quite a bit in terms of intimacy. I really like the layout of the site, and it's always helpful to the volunteers to try and make as many things permanent as you can so that they don't have to redo the work each year. But I really personally like this size of a festival, and over the years that comment's been made by a lot of knowledgeable people, fans and performers all over the world.
Summerfolk, located in the quiet confines of Kelso Beach. Close to the amenities one would need in Owen Sound without the intrusion of daily city life. And still situated on the shores of beautiful Georgian Bay. Such an advantage gives Summerfolk what many festivals strive for, but few achieve, and that is a unique personality. Coming from all corners of North America, people make the trek to Summerfolk an annual one, while others are first-timers.
Thank you.
Well, the concept of a workshop is to basically take two acts of similar vein and throw them on the stage together with a theme and tell them to come up with songs pertaining to the theme of the workshop. And of course, when one act does one tune, the next act all of a sudden reminds them of another one that's somewhat similar in the same tradition, same vein. They do their tune, and sometimes it ends up where you have 3 or 4 acts in a workshop and they all know the one song. They end up doing it together, and sometimes that magic moment can be created in a workshop.
The workshops are situated on 5 different stages, consisting of gazebo workshop stage, craft area workshop stage, under the tent workshop stage, acoustic presentation and demo stage, and traditional and lost arts stage. The beauty of these workshops is that you can get a chance to learn or just enjoy the music you love in an atmosphere taught you by your favorite artist, up close and personal. An added bonus is the fact that you can experience musicians of different backgrounds, mixing and matching with their contemporaries, creating results which will certainly be priceless.
I believe the future is really, really rosy, not for just summer folk, but for all folk festivals and events. We're on a slight curve upwards, and as far as the Owen Sound Summer Folk Festival is concerned, the future, for us, we can't get any bigger. All we can do is get better.
Then she knelt close beside me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day.
Well, once again, night has fallen on summer folk, only takes on a new significance now because it's Sunday night, and we're going to have to wait another year for Summer Folk 1991.
The crowds have all gathered at the main stage, hoping the music will act as a comforter for the pending goodbyes. With memories in hand, those who experienced this wonderful event will take home with them the certainty that they have next year to look forward to, as this will all happen again at a place called Summer Folk.
The MacLean Hunter rise again, rise again, rise again. Though your heart has been broken and life about to end, no matter what, you must be in a home of a friend. Let the MacLean Hunter rise again. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going